So Dover Exeter was interesting because Dover was the 11th seed in a dream, hashtag.
I thought coming into that game that Exeter was going to wipe the floor with them. I got to be honest, because they play the same style. It's wide open, and it's playmakers in space. And man, Exeter had it in spades. And I didn't realize kind of that inner determination that Dover had and what they had going on in that locker room. Nobody could know that except for the guys in that locker room and Matt Fennessy and Mike Lynch and the coaches over there. But man, it was something special, and boy, it was fun to watch.
Exeter Dover, this should be a good one. Excited for this one. People just clowning behind us.
So coming into that game, most of New Hampshire thought that Dover was the underdog, and that's what we felt like. I mean, but as a core group of players, me, Ryan, Johnny, and all the boys who contributed, we knew what we had, and we knew we were special, and we knew we could compete with them.
Coming into the game, I knew it was going to be a tough game. Athletically, they matched up with us just like it was the most similar team athletically, I thought, in the state in comparison to our team. But I knew we could play. I knew we had better chemistry. And I knew if we just trusted the process of what Fenn wanted us to do offensively and defensively, I thought we had just as good of a chance to beat them as anyone.
For us, we always felt like this group, I had this group since freshman year. We always felt that there were pieces. We just never had a chance to put them all on the floor at the same time. Devin had been playing varsity before everyone else, and we just always wished that we could have them all together. And there was a game at the end of the regular season the previous year against Salem. We went to double overtime, and we ended up losing, but everybody came off, the guys that were returning, saying, this is what we're going to be next year. We really like this.
Coming in, it's my senior year. I think Dave picked us 13th in the preseason poll. But in my head, we had 8 seniors coming back. We have Ty Vitko, and we had Kingsley Breen coming at the beginning of the season too. And I was very excited for that. We knew what we were capable of, and we didn't really show it during the regular season, but we knew once the postseason came, we were going to turn it around.
The Dover kids are still squawking about the fact that I picked them, I think, 14th in the preseason. I like to remind them that they finished 8-10 that season, so I think it was pretty close. But they really just had something special. Man, they were talented, and I wanted to see if a kid like Ty Vitko could mature and become a go-to guy at the end of the season. And man, he was phenomenal in that game against Exeter.
It was a team that when I did my top 10 before the playoffs started, just because of the way they played. It was like 2 years in a row I've kind of gotten one of these right. The way they played and the kind of the way the bracket lined up for them, I was like, oh, well, they could get to Durham.
So leading up through the whole playoffs, every game wasn't guaranteed. And we started at Londonderry, and that's the day that Devin's dad passed. And I came up to Devin before the game. I'm like, hey, he's going to be with you today. Like, you got to go out and ball. And he scored 26, and that game was one of the craziest sports moments that I've ever been a part of, and it had nothing to do with me playing. Just watching Devin playing through his father and watching everything that went down in that game was crazy, and I think that really backpacked us throughout playoffs.
They really came together as a team because unfortunately, very, very tragically, Devin Katie's father passed away, and I know they weren't sure if Devin was going to play or not in that first game against Londonderry, and he was just he was just incredible.
And then they went to Bedford in the quarterfinals, and they really felt like they matched up really well with Bedford, and they won a game. I think they had to survive a last shot by Max Shardy, so they just were kind of living on the edge. So by the time that they got to UNH, they just felt like they were playing with house money, and they just had a lot of confidence that if it was close late, they were going to finish it.
We do. Josh and Cody standing there just had the biggest smiles on their face. Made eye contact with both of them. They're psyched. They're just happy to be here. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Exeter, I think, was everybody's preseason favorite. If not favorite, then certainly in the top 2. They had the Morset brothers. They had Kevin Henry. They had nobody really knew about Ryan Grijalva until about halfway through the season, and they figured it out. They had Max Rose. I mean, they were loaded.
Preseason number 1. They look pretty good. They're making me look good. 2-0, baby.
All right, boys. Coming into the Exeter game, I knew our bench was going to be huge for us, but I didn't realize how much of an impact it was actually going to make. Our first possession that we scored on, I brought it up the court. I did a little inside out. I passed it to Griff Carloni he started it. He nailed the three from the corner. He buried it, and we got on a roll from there.
Nothing. Exeter early on.
Knife through 2 defenders. Nice play by Josh Morissette.
5:50 to go first quarter. Left side three is in for Griffin Carloni.
That's what I mean by every guy can shoot it. And just like that, Dover's on the board.
What made our team special to me is how all of us brought something to the table. I mean, Julian Nicholson, he was a player coach. He was there for everybody. He helped us do everything. Nick Urardi would come in, he would play his role, do whatever he needed for us. Jake Lipinski would get a couple buckets, play some defense. Griffin Carloni always seemed to come up in big. We call him UNH Griff. And obviously we have our starting five who are my boys for life.
You know, I think that thing about that Dover team was different kids would step up at different times. I think at times Cantwell kind of was the engine that kind of ran everything for them. Ryan Coleman always seemed to be the personality of that team. He was really a leader, you could tell. Devin Cady didn't seem to hit any shots until they were huge and they absolutely mattered, and then he never seemed to miss them. And then Vico really was the go-to guy. He really stepped up as the go-to guy. And when you put all that together and different guys are picking each other up here and there, you can see why they got all the way to the finals.
Goes to Johnny Cantwell. Cantwell up the right side. Jump pass to the right wing for Vico for three. Dover has their first lead of the night. It's 7-5.
Kid's got a stroke.
This was Ty Vico's coming out party. Like if you'd seen Dover games early the season, you knew he was pretty good, but he made a 4-point play in the first half early on, hit a three and got bumped.
This body off the window. Tough move.
Up top, the three is on the way. It's good, and the foul.
Ty Vico's on fire.
I was pretty far behind the line, and I felt like I needed to shoot in that moment. I pulled it, and I felt contact, and I just dropped to the ground, and I heard the whistle, and I watched it drop as I was laying on the ground, and I would say it's probably one of the best moments I've ever had playing a basketball game, just hearing the crowd roar while I was on the ground and knowing that what I just did is going to help the team for the rest of the game, because that was an amazing confidence boost for us.
Dent to the right side.
Our good friend Mike Lynch is already biting his nails.
Is that a bad sign?
It means they're in it.
Oh, nice move by Perella to lose the defender. Can't finish, but Grijalva with a tip in. Oh, Perella just broke the ankles of the defender there. My goodness.
Grijalva's uncle is here, came over and introduced. He's here from California to watch the game.
Cody Morissette jumps the pass with the steal, going coast to coast, lays it up and in. And it's 11-9 Dover. If Cody Morissette picks off a pass, Dave, you ain't catching him.
No.
That was as much fun as McIsaac and I have had. It was kind of us at our best or our worst, whatever you think about us, and you'd be entitled to think anything you wanted. But we were having a lot of fun in that game. We knew all these kids, and it was an unbelievable atmosphere, and there was a dinosaur in the crowd.
Weird looking at Devin Cady ready to get the ball inbounds with a giant dinosaur behind him.
You gotta get over the dinosaur thing.
I can't, it's right there, man.
We'll go take a picture with him after the game.
No.
Devin Cady up top.
You'll never see me again.
33.
And Drew Pearsall, kid in my marketing class, we're like, we need this to be big. And he had a dinosaur suit. And I'm like, you gotta bring that. Like, if you don't bring that, we need that, man. So he brought it, and it was always cool to look up and see everyone going crazy and just see a dinosaur jumping around during the game. And it was just kind of relaxing, and you noticed how many people were actually on your side.
It was a back and forth affair at first. A couple of times Exeter it looked like they were going to pull away and put the hammer down. Cody Morissette made big shots.
15-13, 2:05 to go. And the answer from Cody Morissette for the left wing.
Nice, just nice and smooth, one motion. He's done that a lot.
Cody Morissette was, I'm an unbiased Cody Morissette guy. Like, that's my boy. He's one of the best kids we've ever covered. He was absolutely terrific throughout his whole career. Still doing it at Boston College for the baseball team. But he played really well in that game, and really all season long, I just thought he was somebody that, talking to as many coaches as I talked to all through the year and week after week after week, he's one of the most respected players that I think has come through Division I in the last 10 years.
Cody Morissette to inbound into Max Rose up top. Gets it back in the left corner. Goes baseline, puts it up and in.
Tough take by Cody Morissette. He's been good, 11 points.
That game was really the Kevin Henry breakout game. I had been hearing about this kid, Kevin Henry, coming into that season, and that's a loaded team. Cody Morissette was Player of the Year on most people's ballots, and Josh Morissette, Ryan Grijalva. they were loaded, but that was the game that Kevin Henry kind of announced himself to the rest of the state. He was big that night, and then, of course, he went on to his senior year where he was a first-team All-State player, now playing at Plymouth State.
As up top, it's Grijalva. To the left block he goes, looking for the cut. Nice pass to Henry. Puts it up and in. Henry! 33-21. I couldn't wait much longer for that, Dave. I'm sorry.
I knew Kevin Henry could play. Every single time we played Kevin, he'd always have a quiet, really good game. You know Exeter's going to come in and play through the two Morissette brothers. You know that's what's going to happen, but Kevin Henry did a great job coming in behind the scenes and getting those big buckets, and especially big and ones at the worst times possible.
Behind the line. That's why they're short. He's too deep. And I watched Lebanon do this one year against Portsmouth.
As to the bucket, putting it up and in was Kevin Henry, and the foul.
Kevin Henry with a circus shot.
Somewhere in the second quarter, Cody Morissette hit a three, and it wasn't like a foot on the line three. It was like an NBA three. And someone at the scores table must have had a tough angle because they gave him a 2. Now, at first, no one noticed. And then I think you hear me on commentary saying somewhere like, oh, the live stats and the scoreboard disagree with what the score is. There's a missing point somewhere, or something's wrong.
Yeah, the live stats say 23-15, and the scoreboard says 24, so.
You don't want to put too much information in front of you and I. We just get confused.
And I actually texted Mike Murphy, who was working the tail. I was like, hey, man, something's messed up. He's like, we know, we're trying to figure it out.
So Mike Murphy tells me the scoreboard is the official score, Dave.
Okay.
The Dover Book and Brandon Poli disagree, but Tommy Means' scorebook is official as the first one is good. They're going to figure it out at halftime.
Do you know
First half ends. Entertaining first half to be sure, but Exeter leads it in the Division I semifinal, 38-29. We'll be right back to break down the first half. This is the Division I semifinals on MOSN, the McIsaac Sports Network, and Edge Streaming Radio.
At halftime, we're going down the stairs to the locker rooms, and our scorer comes over to me, Tom Dandro, and says, Coach, the score is wrong. We should have another point. I said, great, that's awesome. And we didn't let the guys know. We just continued it at halftime. When we came up, a couple guys pulled me aside. Coach, the score is wrong. I said, no, the score is correct. Tommy's got it right in the book. The book's the only thing that matters.
The end result was, I think Exeter ended up getting a point taken away that they shouldn't have somehow, but which a lot of people made a big deal afterwards. I'm not so sure it would have made a huge deal in the course of the game, but it's kind of one of those things that make a game like that, make a legendary game even more legendary, that there's a story to tell as far as that goes.
And then I went into the huddle, and I said, well, guys, for the first time in the history of the game, we've won halftime. And they all kind of smiled, and I said, now let's go and get back in this game. And then they went on a little run to get us right back.
Ryan Coleman made a face like, I didn't mean to foul him, and I guess he didn't.
Coleman gets it back, puts it off the window. No, 3 Dover players are in the area. One comes away with it. It was Coleman, puts it back up and in.
Here we go.
5-point game.
There's a driving kick by Ryan to Griffin Carloni for a 3. And on that play, John Cantwell gets shoved in the back, and we get another possession.
Blue Hawks are up by 6. Here comes Dover in transition. They push it to the corner, right side 3 in the way. I believe that's Katie. In and out, back in again. No, check that. It was Griffin Carloni. And was he fouled afterwards?
No, it was a foul underneath the basket, a push in the back. So the basket's good, and Dover's going to get the ball back.
Oh, my.
And we score off it. And that really seemed to settle us for the second half.
As they lob it into Johnny Cantwell. Left elbow, Cantwell to the bucket, lays it up and in.
Great take. Great take. Matt Fennessy with a little jig on the sidelines for that one.
That game was really kind of, Dover was hanging in. I mean, it looked like Exeter at any moment was going to break that thing open. They had some 8 to 10 point leads a lot of time in that game.
We'll leave it for Cody. Deep 3. No. And the rebound. Oh, what a rebound and a score by Kevin Henry.
Kevin Henry got stuck on the ground, was way behind, and just sprinted all the way down the floor and finished that great play by him.
6-point lead for Exeter and a 30-second timeout taken by Matt Fennessy.
It really felt like Dover was hanging on, and then it switched, And as the game went along, I remember McIsaac and I talking in midcourt, and I said, like, I feel like Exeter had a chance to put him away, and they've let him hang around, and bad things happen when you let teams like this hang around.
He listed at the table. Am I the only media guy that has his wrestling name as his...
Oh, I would say yeah.
Probably.
I don't think Mike Whaley does.
Right side three for Devin. Katie buries it. That ends the 9-0 Exeter run.
That's a nice way to start the fourth.
It draws Dover to within 3, 53-50.
If I told Matt Fennessy, I'll give you 7:30 to go, you're down 3, would he take it? Yeah, he'll take it.
He would take that in a heartbeat.
You can't have a great game, it seems like, without a little bit of controversy. I thought Vico's fourth foul when Kevin Henry just ran into him as hard as he could with Vico his hands in the air. I mean, obvious. Listen, those games are hard to call, and those are really good officials, but that's a tough fourth foul.
Exeter starts to feel the pressure of being the higher seed with the high expectations.
Not yet. You're only halfway through the fourth.
And we're going to foul away from the ball. Who's this going to be on?
Selfishly, I just don't want to see the best players out of the game. And I didn't want to see Ty Vico taken out of this unbelievable game, and that was tough.
Or, like, you know what I mean?
That's the fourth on Ty Vico with 3:55 to go, and Vico's got 23 points.
That's a big call.
So when I picked up my fourth foul, it was kind of one of those moments where you're just like, oh, like, why'd that happen to me? Like, why does this have to happen? It was kind of heart-wrenching, and I knew that I would have to play the rest of the game cautious, and I can't pick up my fifth row, so it would be a very big loss for me and the team.
Once he gets that fourth, everyone on Exeter, Jeff Holmes is telling everyone on his team, let's get him out of here. Like, so in other words, every time Ty Vico gets the ball, let's just start diving in front of him, see if we can get that fifth call.
Matt Fennessy calls the play out. And now Johnny Cantwell has it. Hands it off for Vico. Open for 3. That was the play Matt Fennessy called.
Just smiled at Grijalva, too.
He said, Ty Vico, go hit a 3, and he did. 57-55.
21 points for Vico.
Woof.
How you like that?
Different kids stepping up for Dover. Griffin Carloni played really well in that game, had some big plays, hit a couple big shots. Ryan Coleman had a big steal late for them, and then Johnny Cantwell, as usual, is the middle of everything. It sounds like some terrible law firm, Cantwell, Carloni, and Coleman, but they all had their moments late in that game, and you could just see the different kids for Dover continually were just rising to the occasion.
4:20 to go. The 11th seed Dover up by a deuce. Here's Katie. Katie works his way to the bucket, scoops it up, and in.
He's doing such a great job getting low and just kind of moving guys and kind of spinning through contact.
4-point lead for Dover. Katie's now got 13. Free throw.
They're all big now.
2-point lead for Dover. Here's Morissette, spins in the paint, leaves it for Josh Morissette, baseline jumper.
Oh!
It's good, and he's fouled.
And the fist pump.
Ties the game at 61.
Morissette to Morissette.
So the fifth foul that wasn't, Kevin Henry, knowing that Vico had 4 fouls, does his best Joaquin Phoenix impersonation and just falls right to the ground.
Josh Morissette's free throw is good. Exeter takes a 1-point lead. Pressure from Exeter off the inbound.
That's interesting. So now we're into a 1.
And an offensive foul is going to be called on Vico, and that's the game.
It looks like he commits an offensive foul, gets frustrated, puts a shoulder into a dude. Offensive foul. That's Ty Vico's 5th foul. He got called for a couple of cheap ones early, and he's out of the game. Oh, wait, no, there was a timeout called.
Off the play, there's a quick double team by Exeter on Ty, and when I saw that, I immediately called for timeout. It wasn't something that we were prepared for there.
So I picked up my 5th foul, and I took a jab step, and Josh fell to the ground, and I heard the whistle, and I was like, oh my God, this isn't happening. I did not just foul out of the biggest game of my life. And I start walking over to the bench, and I didn't know that I didn't know that Fenn had saved me until I got over near him, and he's like, I called a timeout. And I was like, you what? I was like, I'm still in the game?
Oh no, a timeout came before the foul. Oh my!
I was signaling for the timeout, had the hands in the position to call timeout, and fortunately, the referee saw that and overrode the 5th foul call.
Oh no, a timeout came before the foul. Oh my!
Oh, he just saved Ty Vico. Oh wow, Jeff Holmes is not going to like that.
That's the timeout of the year for Matt Fennessy.
And then on the next play, out of bounds, Vico gets it and 1. So that was a huge play.
Stops the left block. Looks, spins, gets it out to Vicko. Vicko will drive, lay it up, and he's fouled.
Double clutch, hit on the arm, gathered, finished off the window.
Kevin Henry blocked the shot, but Vicko just powered through it, Dave. I was impressed, got flattened. Picks himself up, looks a little weary, gets it on the right side, puts it up from the paint, knocks it down.
Boy, pull-up jumper by Katie. Good, smart move. He had two guys at the rim, decided to pull up 5 feet.
He looked like he was shaking off the cobwebs, too. 66-65 with $1:40 to go.
Throughout the run, Devin was dealing with the death of his father. We were getting ready for his dad's funeral, and he somehow was able to find a way to keep going. His energy was great in that game. Made some crucial plays to help us, and I can't imagine how he was able to do that.
Josh Morissette 7 of 8. He will take it out
Dover man-to-man.
on the baseline. Looking.
I still don't like Vicko guarding Cody Morissette with 4 fouls. I don't like that at all.
Cody Morissette gets it and loses it.
We have the ball, and we're down by 1. We got the numbers. I think Griffin Carloni has the ball, dribbling up the court. Grijalva and Henry are both behind me. I think Carloni loses the ball.
In the hands of Carloni. Carloni got stripped by Josh Morissette.
I flip my head around, and Grijalva's dribbling up the left-hand side of the court, and I'm just running, and I'm chasing Kevin Henry at least 5 or 6 steps behind him, fully expecting Ryan just pass the ball. But he keeps dribbling, so I'm like, all right, I have a chance to catch up to him. I'm not letting him score. I'll foul him. I tried to foul him.
Got him trapped in the corner. He'll get it up the floor.
I got him open.
The 2-on-none. Grijalva to the bucket, puts it up. No!
Oh, Grijalva had Henry wide open and didn't pass it to him.
So Ryan Grijalva is a sophomore at the time. My son now is a sophomore. I've told my son at one point, every day for a week, I'm going to be in Virginia on Friday. Do you know what he didn't remember on Friday? That I was in Virginia. So I can forgive a kid for streaking down the court in a semifinal game to get a go-ahead layup and not looking a little to his right and seeing a guy streaking ahead. Like, you look back at the film and if you're an Exeter fan, you go, "I'll just pass it!" But that's why high school sports are so wildly unpredictable, because it's kids playing.
Johnny Cantwell up top. You hold for 1 if you're Dover?
Fennessy just pointed to his head, so that's got to be a play, and he's directing traffic.
I think that's the handoff on the right wing they've been doing.
The play called for Devin when he made the layup it's the play called for me. I'm supposed to take around the top of the key and take a 3-pointer, but Devin kept it because both Cody and Josh came to me because they knew we ran the play 3 times previously.
Good Lord, here we go again.
Cantwell to his right, hands it off for Katie. 36 seconds to go. Katie to the bucket. Katie gives Dover the lead with 30 seconds to play.
And Devin made the layup, and it was absolutely insane in the gym.
No, Katie to the bucket. Katie gives Dover the lead with 30 seconds to play.
So after the big bucket from Devin, I saw immediately Bob grab the ball, go to inbound it. I knew he wanted to inbound it as quickly as possible, and I think it was Grijalva leaking, and I saw Bob's eyes. I knew he was going to throw it, so I baited the throw, and once he threw it, I obviously went up and went to go get it. And when I grabbed it and I came down, I obviously saw daylight on the left side of the court, so I dribbled up the left, and I saw Fenn calling timeout, so I kind of slowed up to kind of like just protect the ball and go to coach. But then they called a carry, and I'm like, oh my God, did I just blow the game?
30 seconds to play. 67-66.
Oh, Coleman!
Coleman intercepts the home run pass. Dover with the lead. Exeter's got a foul here. Coleman crosses the timeline.
Timeout.
Timeout taken by...
Oh, they called him out of bounds. And Matt Fennessy was calling timeout the whole time.
He picked off the ball. John was open at half court. Ty was open at half court. He chose not to make a pass, which is understandable. Doesn't want to turn it over. So I'm looking at a double team that's coming, and I again call for a timeout. And for some reason was not granted that timeout, and he was called for a carry. It was a carry, but I had called timeout. And I think you see me jump up in the air pretty emphatically because I called for a timeout.
Taken by...
Oh, they called him out of bounds. And Matt Fennessy was calling timeout the whole time.
Oh my goodness.
the non-timeout. Fantasy calls the timeout. You can hear me going nuts in the moment, and it would just seem like there was a lot of chaos. There was a basket that was missing. McIsaac and I had noticed that on the UNH score as opposed to the scoreboard. And then you had the Vico. Was it a fifth foul? Was it not? And then you have the timeout that isn't. Like Ryan Coleman's just going to run out of bounds because he didn't have anywhere else to go and he's lost his way. It was crazy. It was chaotic and it was packed. And it was banana land.
Henry's had a good night. Grijalva, Cleese can hit it. Cleese looks like the kind of kid who would hit a game winner, you know what I'm saying?
Out of the timeout, my guys are matching up, and they're not really cognizant of where the ball is going. Exeter inbounds quickly and then gets it ahead.
You know what I'm saying?
Josh Morset.
They just inbounded it quickly.
For a streaking layup, and John Cantwell comes out of nowhere to block the ball.
You know what I'm saying?
Josh Morset.
They just inbounded it quickly.
To Cody Morset, trying to drive the length of the floor. Oh, what a block by Johnny
Cantwell just threw that out of bounds.
I was honestly nervous going up to block the shot because of my foot. I had messed it up a couple weeks before, but that was probably the first time I really got up and tried to block a shot, and it was probably one of the best moments of my life so far, just to kind of give it back after hearing the whole year, all 4 years of my high school career, just hearing about Exeter, hearing about different teams besides us, and finally being able to make a play just to kind of finish it off. It really felt great.
They'll stay with Exeter with 15.4 to go.
They're inbounding this ball quickly.
Exeter gets the ball back, and who do you want with the ball in your hands right there? You want Cody Morset. He gets to the rim, and it was well contested. He just couldn't get the layup.
Screaming instructions.
Josh Morset looks. Gets it into Cody Morset. Up fakes. Drives. Flips it up. No. Rebound Johnny Cantwell. And he'll be fouled with 9.5 seconds to go.
All right. If you're Exeter, still 10 seconds left, okay?
Cantwell gets fouled. He's able to make one of two, so it's 68-66.
Something here.
Exeter has a timeout as well. 9.5 seconds to go. 67-66 Dover. Cantwell makes the second.
Exeter's got a chance for one more shot. Cody Morset brings it down the floor. They leave Josh open in the right corner pretty deep. But, I mean, that's a shot he can hit.
Cleese inbounds it to Cody Morset up the floor. 7 seconds to go. Cody Morset stops, looks, kicks it out to Josh Morset.
Josh shoots it, ball's in the air, and I'm just watching it, and I can't help but think about literally a week earlier when Chartier's ball was in the air at Bedford, and those two balls being shot, honestly, it still feels like they're still in the air for me, because I thought at Bedford we were done when he shot it, and I thought we were done when Josh shot it.
And it's just the whole time it's in the air, you're just wishing that with everything in you, you just hope it doesn't go in, because all your work is just based on one shot.
Kicks it out to Josh Morset for three.
It started the season with the idea that we were going to always close out with two hands up, and Devin makes a great closeout, and Josh hits the front rim. I mean, that easily could have, even with a great closeout, could have gone in, but it came up short, and I think Ty grabs the ball and fires it up in the air, and we're celebrating.
Josh Morset for three, short, rebound, Dover
won!
And the Dover Green Wave! Cinderella will dance again!
And when it dropped and I got the rebound and threw it as hard as I could, I don't know if I've ever been happier.
The ball came down, hit the front of the rim. When Ty got it, I just went crazy. I just remember Ty throwing the ball up in the air and Ryan taking his shirt off and running around.
Cinderella will dance again on Saturday afternoon in the Division I state championship game. 68-66 the final.
Dover goes to the title game, which was amazing, but Exeter was so heartbroken. Like, a bunch of those kids ended up playing on my Fighting McIsaac's team. Cody and then the three Dover kids. So it was you always love to see upsets, but you hate to see because those are really good kids for Exeter. So you hate to see them heartbroken. And one of the images was just it was Cody Morset's last basketball game. Was him and Josh just kind of holding each other up as they go off the court. It was kind of heartwarming, but it was also heartbreaking at the same time.
Part of why we do this, right, is that Dover team and teams like that. And you don't know what's going on in that locker room, and you don't know what's going on in their heads, and you're not supposed to. And then you see it kind of happen right in front of you. And now that we've gotten to know these kids, and they're a funny group, they're a really good group of kids. And man, it was a great run. Matt Fennessy's become a real friend of mine, and I have a lot of admiration for the way he handled that team and that situation. And they handled it really well, and they were just a lovable group of kids. And they didn't win it in the end. They lost the final to Portsmouth in a really, really good game. But that's a team that people in Dover are going to remember for 20, 25 years and beyond.
You ready? Get in here. Get over here. You ready?
Growing up for Dover, playing basketball, we didn't really have a whole lot of leadership, and that's why we didn't have a captain senior year. It's because we were our own leaders freshman year to senior year, and I really think that's helped with the bond. And after the game, once we won, I think that was just the proving moment that we can really do it, and that we really did do it. And me being a guy that really prides himself on bringing the intensity day in and day out at basketball, whether it's practice or a game, I just kind of let it all flow, because it was really the best feeling of my life. Just so rewarding seeing everything, all the hard work that we were working towards pay off, and I just let it rip in front of the camera.
Dover's going to the shot! Good! Oh, God!
I love that interview. It was just great. And being allowed, I say this all the time, but it can't get said enough. Just being allowed to be in that locker room, and you build that equity up with those kids and those coaches. You earn it through the whole season, and it meant a lot for me to be in there with Jen that night and be in the middle of those kids. And man, it's like that soda can that you just like mix up, and then you just pop it, and just they go crazy. And it's the best feeling to just be a small part of what's going on there. And those kids are awesome, man.
This is the best part. This is the best part for you guys. This is when I get out of it. These guys have the moment. It's Dover's time right
here. From the moment Devin hit the game-winning free throws in Londonderry, it was just, we knew we had something special going, and the news started calling it a Cinderella story. All the factors with Devin and his dad, it was just absolutely amazing that we could come together as a team for him, and to play for each other as friends, and to win a game like that, and just feel the raw emotion that Devin felt, and to be with him for that moment, and have all of us together, and just come together to win something and mean something for once. It was just absolutely incredible.
Julian, Ryan, Ty, Devin, I love those guys. I mean, we've been together for a long time, and we've been through a lot of stuff together, not just sports, especially, I mean, Devin's dad, Julian had some things going on. We were all there for each other no matter what, and I really think that just kind of made our relationships even stronger, just going through the whole run together, and really just like relying on each other to be there. It just made things a lot better.
Basketball in New Hampshire, especially with Dover, it taught me so much. It gave me my best friend group, the guys that I'm best friends with to this day, I hang out with all the time, and it really taught me to work well together, especially in the heat of the moment, and to be comfortable in uncomfortable situations. And I'll always remember being with Coach Fennessy. He's one of the best coaches, if not the best coach I've ever played for, and it's something that I'll always prize and cherish for the rest of my life.
It was a special group for me because it's the only group that I've had the opportunity to coach for the better part of 4 years, and go through the growing pains that players go through. And you know, there are a lot of unheralded players. You know, you're seeing some of our best players, but guys like Julian Nicholson and Jake Lipinski were huge to that. Eric Stevens, they really brought everybody together, and that's what's special about a team, is when everybody's pulling for the same goal.
These two games happened in 1 week. Oyster River, I think, in consecutive nights. Oyster River, Pembroke, and Dover, Exeter. And I mean, the cool thing was that the teams that got their hearts absolutely shattered to smithereens the next year were able to bounce back and kind of, that can go one of two ways. You can either disintegrate or it can make you stronger, and it made those teams stronger, and they both came back and won titles the next year. So it was, two of the best games, and in back-to-back nights, which I think makes them more special than kind of any other games that might be on this greatest game special. The fact that they happen in such close proximity to each other.
This is the best part. This is the best part for you guys. This is when I get out of it. These guys have the moment. It's Dover's time right here.